Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Okay. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. We're going to start tonight with signing the payroll and accounts payable register. Okay. Just a second.
I guess if I have a question, should I ask it now?
Sure.
I see that there's 2 checks that went to Morton Salt. Does that go against the encumbrance that we did, or does that go against the operating budget?
We can take it from the encumbrance first and then take it from the,
Basically, once the encumbrance starts out, we
Yeah.
go to the operating budget.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, let me just read it out.
Okay.
So we have this week, February 17th of 2026, we have payroll, the amount of $39,877. Payroll taxes in the amount of $9,218. Payroll coming out of the ambulance fund in the amount of $1,213. We have accounts payable in the amount of $121,144. There was also a account payable out of the ambulance fund in the amount of $200 and accounts payable in the amount of $3,879 from the recreation fund. There was also a payment to Swayze in the amount of $550,000, a payment to the co-op in the amount of $681,343. I'll take a motion to accept the payroll register.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And next we have the consent agenda, which this week
So
includes public minutes of February 10th, non-public minutes of February 10th, 2026, building permits. There was also a rate of pay confirmation form, and there is also the treasurer's report dated February 17th, 2026, which I will review and read as follows. Bank balance as of February 17th, 2026 was $3,561,544. There were total committed expenditures in the amount of $1,401,582, leaving a general ending cash balance of $2,159,962. There are invested funds in the amount of $4.5 million, leaving a total general fund cash balance of $6,659,962. So having read that, I will take a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion. Well, we can still do a motion in a second and we
Okay,
can
no,
discuss it.
that's-
Second.
Question?
I'd like to table the non-public minutes just because I want to make a change to them, but we're not going to non-public, so I don't want to do that tonight just for that.
Okay.
Motion without the non-public.
No, I mean, did you want to go into non-public at the end to do that, or just
That
time?
would be the only reason we have to go into non-public tonight, and I don't think any of us would want to do that, but,
Agreed.
so, no, we can table them until, sure.
Okay, fair enough. So there's consent agenda will include everything but the non-public minutes, which we will table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are here.
No,
to the
just
public here. Yeah, okay.
Because that has to be open for a while, right? I think half hour minimum.
No, I don't either.
Okay.
I thought it did.
So we're here tonight for a public hearing on citizens petition warrant article for adoption of provisions of RSA 40:13, which is SB 2. I do have a statement from the petitioner, Catherine Armstrong, who asked me to read this. This is in the first person, so I'm reading this as though it's her. I was the lead petitioner for the SB2 warrant, and Julie Stevens reached out to let me know that I am encouraged to attend the meeting next week, February 17th. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend, as I will be home with my 4- and 2-year-old. If it would be possible for the Select Board to read a statement, I can provide that at least. I support SB2 format because it allows residents who are unable to attend town meeting to have access to voting on the town budget and warrant articles. There are many reasons why someone may not be able to attend town meeting, including health issues, work schedule, child care restraints, amongst others. Between 2023 and 2025, town meeting lasted between 5 to 7 hours. In the SB2 format, a deliberative session would still allow for conversation and amendments if necessary, but take much less time without the official voting. In 2025, 855 more residents showed up to vote on Tuesday than to town meeting. In 2024, SB2 was voted on at town meeting and did receive the majority vote, but was short on the 3/5 by 23 votes. After talking with many residents, both newer and here over 20+ years, it felt important to be able to vote on this again at this year's town meeting. Thank you, Catherine Armstrong. So I will open up the hearing. If anyone else has a public comment that they would like to make, then come on forward, and we're happy to hear public comment.
Careful. You can do that one, just push the red button.
There we go. I'm speaking against SB2. I think it's a stupid idea. I think it should be named the lazy person's vote.
Yeah, Bill, just, if you could,
You don't hear
we all
me?
know you, but
You can't, oh, Bill Faria, South Road.
thank you.
I think it should be named the lazy person's vote. People can't come out one day out of 365 days, town meeting, to decide what they're going to do for the rest of the year, what the selectmen are going to do, what the budget's going to be. I don't want to take anybody's thunder away, but we have an example of SB2 with these schools, the $76 million budget that nobody seems to know anything about because they don't come out. 29,000, 22,000, whatever, how many thousand voters that could come out, and about 150 were there. So maybe it shouldn't be called the lazy person, but maybe it should be called the uninformed voters bill. But this is something we shouldn't do. And one day of the year, you can come out and decide how your town's going to run for the rest of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Liz Faria, South Road. So I have the actual numbers for the SB2 that we do have for the $76 million co-op budget, which out of a possible 26,983 voters of the 6 towns. So almost 27,000 for a $76 million budget, which the schools amount for the most of your tax bill. 153 total voters showed up out of almost 27,000. 29 came from Brentwood. 29 came from Brentwood. Even though there's not an overwhelming majority that come to the town meeting, there are 200 or 300 at least, and it's way more than 29. So I would rather have people be informed than not informed and just show up. The other reason to have a regular town meeting, as Bill said, it's only one day a year, it's approximately the same time every year, is that most of the towns in New Hampshire that have adopted SB2 have regretted it and have tried to go back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Lois DeYoung, Crawley Falls Road. I've been in town 52 years, and the biggest thing to me when I moved here is the right to be a town meeting. That is your government. You are there speaking with your people, with your town people. It's the only time we ever get together, for one, and two, we get to voice what we see, what we know, and get the total facts. A lot of times, what you see on the deliberative circuit, I've gone for years, and it's, like she said, 150 people at 1/10 of whatever, not even that. You don't get the information, and you're not talking to the people that live it. And it is very, and the other thing she said, which is absolutely correct, I have friends up north, because I have a camp in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, and they had it and they got rid of it. It does not work, because no one gets to come and see, and they're spending, the warrant articles, if I believe I'm correct, are the big items. Most of the time, it's the things that matter. You're a new fire chief, a new fireman, a new police station. If you're going to write on paper, you have no idea what your alternative are. You don't know what work's been done. It doesn't work. And I adamantly want them to vote it down. We do not want SB 2.
Thank you, Lois.
Good evening, Doug Finnan, Gove Road. Unfortunately, I did not bring my statistics that I had from the previous year in reference to this issue. I'm a traditionalist, number one, and I think that's very important to the town. But besides that, Liz made a very good point. The towns that have adopted SB 2, I wouldn't say the majority have regretted it, but there is if my numbers are correct, that on my recall, it was 11% of the towns that adopted SB 2 that regretted adopting it, primarily because of the interest and the complexity in it. It doesn't always suit the town as far as the date goes and being able to be there. I haven't been to every town meeting that we've had, but the public involvement is so critical to us. Our voices need to be heard. And I think if you think about it, I guess the old adage is careful what you wish for, because turning back is very difficult in comparison to what we have currently. So please consider not supporting SB 2, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Hasher, 33 Mohawk Lane. I just would say that anyone out there who really wants to look at the pros and cons of SB 2 versus town meeting, in this month's issue of the Brentwood newsletter, there's a full page that basically all we did was provide the same thing we did last time. It shows the pros and cons from the Citizens Count organization in New Hampshire, as well as from NHMA. So it gives you both sides of this issue so that you can make an educated decision on whether we want SB 2 or not. I just will say what some of the other folks are saying. I get why people feel that it's a lot of effort to spend a whole day at town meeting, but it is once a year. And I understand that people have other commitments and challenges of not being able to attend a town meeting, and they feel that it's easier to go and place a ballot in the ballot box than it is to sit there and make our own decisions. But I have to remind these folks that sure, what you're trading in is the opportunity that you're going to go cast your ballot on warrants and a budget that has been decided in a deliberative session. So the deliberative session that seems to be the problem for people to get to, and they don't like the time, it still happens. And I can assure you, I will be there, and I will bring as many people as I can to these deliberative sessions to make sure that we get an operating budget that makes sense for the town, as well as warrant articles that make sense. So you can You can take warrants, you can amend them at this deliberative session. You could take the operating budget, you can cut $1 million. If you had enough people, you could cut it in half if you wanted to. And then if the voters voted for it, it's the budget. So I just think that people look very narrow-minded in terms of that they think their voice is not being heard. But actually what they're doing is they're trading in their one little ballot vote, thinking that their voice is heard, when really all they're getting to do is vote yes or no on something that a really small group of people have now decided. And it will be even smaller. The statistics clearly show that when you go to SB2, the deliberative session numbers go way down from when you had a town meeting. And the final thing I'll say is that, and others have said the same thing, is that again, with the reduced number of people, there's the opportunity for a small minority to really control things, to really control things. And I think in town meeting, the last thing I'll say is I personally have spoken at every single one that I've gone to, and I am proud to say that people have come up to me saying they were going to vote one way, but after I spoke, they said, I didn't realize that, and I voted like you said. I have found myself in the same position. I thought I understood an issue or a warrant, and I went in there thinking, "No, I'm not supporting this." And then people speak, and you realize, "Wow, I didn't know that." And you change your mind and you vote for it, or you get up and speak for it. So, anyways, I really hope that folks do take the time to look into what SB2 really means and what the pros and cons are. There's a handout that went around that is really good that shows the pros and cons. And I hope they take their time. And I really think if they look at the big picture, they're not going to support this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. I don't know if there's any other comment from either the public. This is a citizen's petition, so this will be voted on at town meeting. I anticipate that there will be people who will be voicing their support at town meeting. I will encourage everyone to be at town meeting to address this issue.
I like the town meeting, and I like having the discussions. I would agree with Jim that I think you learn stuff that maybe you might not have been part of a committee or you hadn't heard yet when you're at these meetings and we have these open discussions. I've been to the school deliberative sessions, and it doesn't matter how many people we get there, you still have such a small fraction there, like a really minimal amount. I mean, you got 100 and something out of 27,000 voters. You get more people showing up for the town meeting. I make exceptions to go to these town meetings whenever I can. Last year was the first one I'd missed. I've actually been in town for, I think, 26 years because I had one house and sold that and then moved to the one I built in 2002. So, and I think I've missed one, and that was because my mom was passing. So, so I was dealing with that. So I just think you get a lot more just by going to these meetings and having those discussions. I understand childcare, went through that. I raised 3 kids, and my wife, we would sometimes tag team. All right, I vote, and I'd run home. She'd come out and vote, and we'd stagger. Sometimes she wasn't able to come, and I would just stay because I needed to be there because I was passionate about something. So I think there's something to be said for having that open discussion and dialogue. Kind of like when we invite from the public to speak here. You get more input when you do that.
For the record, that question was, and the question for people who didn't hear it was, what does the board individually think of town meeting? That question was asked by Mr. Foster, and the response so far was given by Mr. Montegary. I do see some other hands in the public, so I would have the public go in the first instance. So if you want to come up, you can come up to the mic. We can finish it afterwards. I'd rather have the
You
public.
can come up.
Yeah,
I think he was getting you the microphone.
yeah, you do.
Because it's
If
recorded.
you could,
It's
because people are
recorded,
hearing
so
it.
that's
Yeah,
why.
yeah,
Mike
Thank you.
Kirby, Scrabble Road.
yeah.
So it seems like there's a minority making a decision at the town meeting. That's a minority of the people. There's if it's voted at the, on a ballot at, during the week, that's a minority. Okay? So either way, not everybody's voice is being heard, whether they care or not. I think that they care, but, it's tough to get there on a Saturday. I'm giving up a day off to go there, not just to go vote, but to sit there and listen and wait for things to get tabled and then coming back to it. And now you're there all day long. It's a war of attrition. If SB2 does pass, that holds the town to get their point across that much harder. It's going to make the town have to make its point clear, more so, maybe by going and advocating signs about go out and vote, not one way or another, but come out and vote. It's SB2. This is your town. Because it's a minority here, it's a minority there. And it seems like when it's at the town, there's more people there that have something to gain that are voters that are voting, more so than people that are just laymen who live in the town, don't work for the town, don't get a check from the town. I'm not saying that anybody is doing anything underhanded. I'm just saying that they have something to gain. Would I vote for a raise for myself? Yes, I would. And I just think it's a minority either way, so I think we have a better chance of getting all the town to vote with SB2 passing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And don't worry, I'm going to come back to the board, but I want to get public comment first.
Thank you. Robin Wrighton, 102 Middle Road. I strongly believe an informed citizen is a smarter citizen. So I'm asking, where is the petitioner tonight or the supporters that signed it to tell me how SB2 is going to function for us here in Brentwood? I've attended 15 of the 16 town meetings that I've had the privilege to go to, and I have been informed. And I have changed my mind, like other people have said, because I've gotten the information and I've heard the conversations. But who's here tonight to tell me how SB2 is going to work for us so that I can be an informed voter? Thanks.
Yep. We thank you, Robin. We got the comment. What? Well, why don't we hold off on a second time? Is there anyone who wants to speak a first time in the public?
Ward Burn, Row Road, East Brentwood. I'm not in favor of SB2 for a multitude of reasons. I've seen many successes at town meeting where I feel as though it's one of the few times you have a sense of community, which we've lost in so many portions of our lives. And as painful it is to go to town meeting and sit there, and I mean, I've had writhing headaches at these ridiculous, drawn out debates, but it's for the betterment of the town. And I feel like it's just another layer. You pull the town meeting away, it's another layer of losing a sense of community where everything is just strike a yes or a no. And I have a problem with that. And, you know, I have a long history of town meeting here. You know, my father was a fire chief. My mother was on the budget committee, selectmen, planning board, zoning board. Like I've been exposed to politics my from my childhood to my adult life, and I've seen many successes at town meeting, and myself, as strong-headed as I am, I've changed my mind being at town meeting, and listen to the arguments, the pros and the cons, and make an informed decision. I just think it's a bad idea for our community. I know that I always liked when our late Richard Chamberlain, our town moderator, would get to the microphone and he would start the meeting with, "This is the purest form of democracy." And it's one of them things I don't forget. And it is. He's not lying. It's a true democracy, a debate, and an informed decision. Win, lose, or draw, I don't always get my way there, what I vote for, but the governing body spoke. And I think we lose that when we go to SB2. Thanks.
Thank you, Ward. Anybody else for a first round comment? Not required, but.
I think you should use anybody else that wants to comment before you.
Okay. Anyone want a second round comment? All right, let's see if we can finish it off on the second round.
Okay.
Okay.
Lois DeYoung, Crawley Falls Road. The whole thing, in direct rebuttal to what the gentleman said previously, the Brentwood newsletter provides a complete, itemized every February in detail of all the articles, everything. If you read, and it comes in your mail, so you have no excuse not to get it, it is publicized out in great detail. So it would make no difference if you were still going to be, if you're an informed voter, you read, you pay attention, or if you're not. But the town meeting is the time when the things that aren't common knowledge, if somebody has a personal event, knowing what's going on, been there, done that, like you say, the change in your opinions. It also is the biggest one, and I think I said it earlier, and we said it again. It is the purest form of democracy. Voting in a booth where no one, and you don't even know anything that goes about anything, is not the same thing. Voting is wonderful, but a town meeting is when you meet with your people and you have pure American democracy. We should never give it up.
Okay, round two.
Liz Faria, South Road, round 2. You need 25 registered voters to sign the petition. Are any of those petitioners here today? For SB2, in favor of SB2? Enough said.
I didn't sign it. I don't think anybody on the board signed it, did they?
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, I would just say on behalf of myself individually, I've expressed publicly at town meeting on at least a couple of occasions that I am in favor of town meeting. Anyone else wants to speak?
I'll go next. So I support town meeting. Ward stole both my statements I was going to make. First, reliving Dick Chamberlain's sentiment, and second, that everybody loves town meeting except for the 18th hour into town meeting when we all have headaches. But it's still worth the time and the effort.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say that I moved to this town 26 years ago, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the political process. And it could be a long day, but it's one day out of 365 days where you actually have a say in how town budget and the warrant articles and government is operated and run. So I think that it's pretty selfish to, I understand that there are things that come up that, prohibit you from going on one day, but for the most part, I think it's important that you be there and you exercise your right to vote. So I am not in favor of SB2. I like the way our town government is run, and I think it's important for people to get out there, voice their opinions, and to listen to the public and exercise your vote. Thank you.
Letty, you, if you wish, you have the last word.
I'll be voting no on this warrant article. I feel like anything I say at this point will be repetitive, so.
Okay.
It's unanimous.
Not that it really matters, but yeah.
Okay, well, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing at this time.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you for everyone who participated. We will continue on with our select board meeting, which has Daphne Was, our town clerk, to talk about an election update and some thanks.
Yes, thank you. I just did want to give a couple things if people aren't aware. The last day to register to vote prior to the election in my office is this Friday. After that, you'll have to wait to register at the election. March 2nd is a Monday at 6 p.m., the school district meeting. March 10th is a Tuesday. That is our town and school elections. We're open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And March 14th is our Saturday town meeting at 9 a.m. All of these are going to be located at Swayze Central School. The supervisors of the checklist and our office will again be visiting the Rockingham Nursing Home and Assisted Living to provide the residents with absentee ballots once we receive them. We have not received ballots yet. And to help new residents register to vote. We'll be testing ballots, again, unsure of the date because we don't have the ballots yet, but I will post that on the website as soon as I get it. And this year at the election, we have 2 machines, so hopefully everything will flow a little bit faster. A side note, I would like to thank Julie Stevens for taking the job as town administrator. That job is what nightmares are made of. But she's the perfect person to do this job. She's a person of great character and professionalism, and she gets the job done, which would be done a lot faster and easier for her if she wasn't constantly interrupted by me as well. She even went and helped shovel the library, which, to be honest, I was not happy about. If anything happens to her, none of the work that everyone's harassing her to get done will get done. It's important that we keep her in bubble wrap for a bit and let her finish her work.
Amen.
I told you I wasn't going to embarrass you much, okay?
I will buy some bubble wrap.
Very well deserved.
And then I would like to thank Jim Michaud and Bob Mantigari for their help over the past few weeks. I called Jim to assist with a resident, and he ended up assisting more than I'm sure he originally intended. But thank you. That was so kind of you. And now for Bob. I was talking with Bob on the phone one day and ended up in a bit of a panic because it was raining in my office, down the walls and the ceiling. He showed up within a few minutes and threw icy melt on the roof as far as he could reach. We set up fans. Thank you, Jim, for the big fan. And hope for the best. But the next morning it was worse. He showed up again before 8 a.m., and in less than an hour, we had roofers taking snow off the roof. Less than a week later, we had the same issue. And don't tell his wife, but he was literally hanging out my window in the office and a back office with a shovel because the roofer said it was too dangerous to get back up there. Sorry, Sarah. So thank you, Bob. I know anytime we call you, you will make it a priority to come over and fix what is broken. You've shoveled snow, you've crawled around the attic, and numerous times, too many to count, you've helped set up and break down elections, carried all the heavy stuff that needed to be transported. You never hesitate to help us out. I'm eternally grateful to you. Ken would be so proud. of everything you've done and continue to do to help this town. So thank you.
Amen.
I think that's called getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I've even fixed a leak in the basement before.
All right.
Thank you, Daphne.
Thank you, Daphne.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. All right, next on the agenda, we have a discussion and some options that we'll hear about with regard to the Mill Road Dam. We have here Attorney Reimers and Mr. Inoue. Inoue, okay, thank you.
I was looking at that too, like, I don't know how I'm gonna say this, I don't know how he's gonna say it.
That's all right.
Try, but thank you.
Jason Reimers and Naoto Inoue. So thank you for having us. I'm an attorney. I do some dam removal work around the state. And Naoto found himself as a member of Brentwood Dam Ventures, which owns the dam. I think I call it the Mill Road Dam. I've seen it referred to as the Phillips one, but I think we all know which one we're talking about. So we are in the process of having the dam removed, well, planning to. American Rivers is a nonprofit organization that took over for me as the project manager. They have been working with, they put it out for bid. They have an engineer. I can't think of the name off the top of my head of the engineer, but we recently secured $675,000 of funding from the Aquatic Resource Mitigation Fund, which is administered by DES. They work in conjunction with Army Corps. And it's not a requirement, but it's a contingency of the funding that the property after the dam is removed be protected long-term. And I mean, just, you probably know this, but some of the benefits of removing the dam are that unimpeded river, it'll be like 122 miles now of unimpeded river because the Pickpocket Dam in Exeter was removed. And so it's just kind of, you know, by removing this one, you bring the unimpeded stretch of the river even further inland. It's going to restore a few acres of wetlands. It's going to allow trout passage and other organisms. So, I mean, I think there's no downside to removing this. And if you've seen it, it's kind of an eyesore as well. So the plan is for the entire dam to be removed, including the buildings that are there. And then going back to that long-term protection that's required by the Army Corps and by DES, we would like to give the parcel of land to the town. Now, in my letter that I wrote to you and the Conservation Commission, it was kind of, would you accept the flowage rights or the property and fee? We would prefer that the town takes the property and fee. And I'm a little uncertain about exactly how much land there is. There is the land on the side that there's that little brick building and the chimney. And the tax map shows a little sliver of land on the other side as well. I just can't find the reference to that in the deed. But as part of this process, it's going to be surveyed. We're going to figure out exactly where the parcels are. So I don't know if it's one slice of land or two. So as an added part of this, Army Corps requires the long-term protection of it, which you might think it's enough just to give you the land. But we are also then going to look for, usually it's like a land trust or some kind of organization that would hold kind of enforcement rights to just like they wouldn't trust Brentwood Dam, the current owner, to just say, we won't do anything. They're also not going to necessarily trust no matter who we give it to. So there might be another layer of just oversight. And we're not looking for any commitment tonight. We just wanted to start the conversation to see what the town might be interested in. And so Nauta wanted to speak as well.
Okay. Thank you for having me, and I just wanted to state that before I read my prepared remarks, I feel very honored to be at the end of the history for this dam. My name is Nauta Inoue. For me, Brentwood Dam, otherwise known as Phillips Dam, has been an 11 years education as an appointed manager for the Brentwood Dam Ventures LLC. I have been an owner and CEO of Talmadge Solar Engineering Incorporated, located in Arundel, Maine, established in 1977. My former business partner, Peter Talmadge, retired in 1999, and I took over the company. I ceased to operate Talmadge Solar in 2022. So I guess that makes me retired. In 2014, Talmadge Solar's collective goal was to design and build renewable energy power system to compete with fossil fuel. We were mostly in solar business. In 2014, my son joined the Talmadge Solar. He met Mr. Phillips' son, who convincingly sold the dam to newly established Brentwood Dam Ventures LLC. To my dismay, my son did not have a good plan and discovered that Brentwood Dam Ventures' plan to produce electricity was neither investable or bankable. The condition of the dam requires repairs that cannot be financed to either FERC or New Hampshire Dam Bureau standards. After my son exited the business, I discovered that the only pathway for this dam is to look for a funding source to take it down. I met Jason, our attorney, and Bob Stevens locally, I'm sure you know, as an engineer a couple of years ago. And with their guidance, we have now some funding to proceed the first phase of deconstruction. The Exeter River and its dam, and this dam, along with thousands of other dams in New England, now faces similar challenges. By deconstruction of this dam, the Exeter River will once again become free-flowing river, thereby coming to a full circle of how early settlers found this area. It is important for me personally that history of this dam has a story to tell about the importance it once had. But it is also important that we recognize that the need to ensure safety of the future generations downstream and take this dam down. Therefore, as a manager of Brentwood Dam Ventures, I will authorize the relinquishing of the ownership of very small strip of land on both ends of the dam and flowage rights to the town, should you accept it. I hope that you choose to accept this decision as an offer that best serves the town of Brentwood. Thank you.
How much of I know last time this was brought up, I was on the board back then when it came up before. How much of it is in Fremont, and have you met with them? Because I know there was a portion of that property that's in Fremont, and then I thought some was in Brentwood.
No, none of it.
It's all in Brentwood.
It's all in Brentwood. And what we tried to do is because I knew that if we took the dam down, the river frontage of all the Fremont residents will lose their river frontage. And so we tried to offer it to them that they could set up some sort of a nonprofit that would control the water flowage, but the gate is damaged beyond repair. And New Hampshire Dam Bureau actually took it out. So every summer from now on, or since a couple of years ago, they don't have a river frontage.
Okay.
What is, you mentioned
flowage. Speak up. You had mentioned flowage rights as a alternative to conveyance of the property.
Mhm.
Fee simple.
Right.
So what would that mean, flowage rights? I haven't heard that lingo before.
Yeah, flowage rights is, one stick in the property rights bundle that a dam owner usually has. So it's the right to flood partially someone else's land. Without flowage right, well, it's just kind of, a dam requires raising the water, and then so I can't tell you which properties over which the dam has flowage rights, but in terms of relinquishing the right to flow, I think it's kind of academic rather than practical, because, if we don't do anything with the flowage right, no one's going to come and build another dam there, right? And exercise those flowage rights and raise the water again. But so the flowage rights would just be, if you take away a dam owner's flowage rights, it takes away that dam owner's ability to ever really have a dam again. So does that answer your question?
I think so. Basically what you're saying is if the town had those flowage rights, that would preclude someone else from being able to use or have a dam to allow the water to flow.
Exactly. So if Brentwood Dam Ventures continued to own it, but we gave the town the flowage rights, you're right, like those property interests would be severed. And so they wouldn't be able to rebuild the dam. There's some question about whether we could just extinguish the flowage rights and, in a deed, let's say to the town, where it just says in there, and the flowage rights are extinguished. Whether that's going to have legal effect is questionable.
So on a separate point, I'm looking at a tax card which indicates over quite sure the period of time, looks like several years anyways, is owing at this point $9,341 in taxes. True?
I'm sure it's true, and I feel embarrassed about it, but as a manager of Brentwood Dam Ventures, we could barely afford Jason, so, I am here to let you know that our obligations does exist, but the Brentwood Dam Ventures does not have enough funding to be able to fulfill our obligations to you, nor our ability to repair the dam, which apparently runs hundreds of thousands of dollars to meet FERC or New Hampshire Dam Bureau standards.
I didn't know that there were. That's news to me. Okay. I could ask the American Rivers, for example, whether that money could be found within the whole project budget to take care of that. I can't make any promises, but
Yeah, it's back taxes, so
yeah,
if I didn't pay my taxes, that'd be a problem.
you can take the property.
You could take the property.
Yeah, we don't want it.
Well, do you want it after the dam is? I mean,
After
to be clear, we're
Yeah.
offering it to the town after the dam is.
Right, as a condition, yeah. Yeah.
Conditioned upon the removal.
Yeah, you could condition that it be removed before you take it.
Right.
Yes.
And the strip of land that we're talking about, what is the size of? I think you said there was perhaps two strips. What are we
Yeah.
talking about?
The tax card has 0.23 acres total. I'm looking at a plan from 1981. It actually says property belonging to the town of Brentwood. I think this did belong to the town of Brentwood. I think the town might have taken it by tax deed at some point.
Well, actually, there is a strip, this piece is what they're talking about. There is a bench now that's been placed by repair of your bridge And actually, I had cooperated with Bob Stevens, who was the head engineer for that repair. And the town needed a strip of land to land their, equipment and materials to be stored. So through that relationship, we realized that we don't own that little strip of land the bench exists now. But our strip, Brentwood Dam's Holding, is about 20 feet wide from the edge of the embankment of the bridge, of the river to the edge of the road. I don't know how wide the right-of-way is from the center of the road that comes in. So I don't think it's too much more than 10 to 20 feet by about 100 feet on the west side. And then on the east side, I think there's about a 15-foot strip of similar length.
You can email it to me.
I could, yeah. So that 1981 plan.
I have it up.
I think it
Computer. I'm good.
lists
I'm good. I'm good.
0.12
Okay,
acres.
good.
Tax card says 0.23. So, and that 0.12 on that older plan doesn't seem to include the smaller strip on the other side. So it's somewhere in that neighborhood. And once engineering plans are more done and a survey is done, we'll know exactly how big it is.
What's the timeline?
Long, everything takes forever in dam removal. I would say in the next 2 years.
I just need to say I've never heard so much damn language before.
Oh.
There's a lot of good damn jokes.
Damned if you do and damned if you don't, right?
Speaking of which, I had a case a number of years ago involving a dam up in Laconia. We always used to call it the dam case. Anyway.
My only
Mine was
question,
funnier.
Mine fell flat. I get it.
my question is if the Conservation Commission wanted to look at this, would there be money in the grant to cover the costs of the conveyance? Because we spend a good amount of money, even if a parcel's donated to us to do the conveyance, so
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I think in the budget, there's money to do the conveyance, have your attorney look at it. I mean, I don't think I'm over-promising to say that, like,
So usually the
we'll pay for that.
Conservation Commission will do survey, they'll also want to make sure there's no hazardous,
Yep.
waste. And then also there's the conveyancing.
Yeah, I think that can all be covered. That doesn't sound like it's a huge amount. Going to like the hazardous waste, that's a good point. There could be sediment. Well, there's probably sediment backed up. Sometimes that sediment is contaminated, but removal of the sediment is part of the dam removal as well. And sometimes that's the most expensive
That's the
part,
biggest,
getting disposing of that sediment. But that's part of it. And then another thing is that if the town is interested, going forward, we're not just welcoming you to take the property, but if you want to be involved, the Conservation Commission or the Board of Selectmen wants to be involved and have a say in how the restoration's going to look, or any of that, we welcome you as a partner in this.
So we have a very active Conservation Commission, especially in terms of preserving land, either by way of fee simple conveyance or by way of easement.
Mhm.
There's an open space committee, so I think it would be important. And Rob Wolfchuck is the chair of the Conservation Commission. Actually liaison to
Yeah.
the commission for a little while longer.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be important, I think, for you to also present in front of the Conservation Commission, because, they have some good expertise there. And I think this board would rely on their thoughts and recommendations.
I did send him my letter as well,
I did see.
and have every intention of following up with with Mr. Wolfchuk.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. One, in terms of the flowage rights, would a conservation easement meet that requirement of making sure that nothing else could go there in the future?
A concert, yeah, yes, a conservation easement would do the trick.
Okay.
You know, with a conservation easement, we need an owner of the property and then the holder of the conservation easement. And then there's gonna be a third layer, which is DES is gonna have a third-party right of enforcement over this. The problem with a conservation easement is that it's really hard to find a land trust who will take on a conservation easement over such a tiny portion of land.
I would check with CELT just because they hold some of the other ones here in town,
Right.
and I wonder if they're already holding some of the other ones here, if they'd be willing to take on that little one in
Yeah,
addition.
I will be in touch with CELT.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I don't know of another land trust in this region. Do you?
I think that's the one that
Okay.
holds most of them for the town at least.
Yeah.
I think there are some others, but I don't know them off the top of my head, but the Conservation Commission, Rob Wolfchuk would be very helpful in that regard.
Okay.
And our Conservation Commission has been doing some monitoring and outside of SALT, so we wouldn't necessarily need a land trust to.
True.
And there will be money in the budget to give to whoever's gonna do the monitoring. Because that's somewhat of a burden.
Yeah,
And I think there's gonna be 5 years of monitoring. Well, I think actually there's gonna be 2 types of monitoring. I think there's gonna be 5 years of monitoring immediately after the dam's removed to make sure that the vegetation is taking hold as planned. And then if it was a conservation easement, then there would be kind of monitoring into perpetuity.
Make
to make
sure
sure
there's
that
no dumping and stuff.
No dumping, or, you know, hey, the town built a dock where they shouldn't, or, you know, whoever owns it, making sure that nothing is no development's happening where it shouldn't.
The other question I had is about this, looks like recorded plan from 1981.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that's from a time when the dam was still in use and the water level was higher. So that, that strip of land on the east side, further up the river, that you're not sure, is
Right.
that, the size of that gonna be affected by where the water line is, or is it just,
Probably.
okay.
Probably, but I can't.
I'm assuming both pieces of land are affected by where the
But that's
water
where
is.
the
Yeah.
survey would basically come.
And the engineer, so I think step one is gonna be the engineers figure out the hydrology and the level that it's gonna be. And then they probably have their surveyor in-house, or whoever does the survey will work with, the engineer can show how much dry land there will be.
Right.
Then the survey can figure out where it is and who owns it.
Yeah, okay. I figured that, but I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that
Yeah,
You don't-
that rendering from 1981 is going to be obsolete.
probably even the color one, because I don't know where that one came from in terms
Do
of.
we know how many
that's showing.
landowners would be affected by this?
Affected meaning having like their water lowered?
Yeah.
No, I don't at
Okay.
this stage. I think that's gonna be part of the engineering study.
I don't think it's gonna affect many more because the gate's already
It's
missing,
already-
so it's
Okay.
flowing wide open.
The way it should, yeah.
And it's
okay.
been for years, right?
Yeah, right.
Several years.
Yeah.
Several years.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be because the gate's gone, my understanding is that the flowage amount isn't gonna drastically change when this is done.
Because all
Prob-
this water right here is pretty much non-existent anymore.
I think so.
Correct.
Yeah, so that smaller one on the right, for example, might be bigger than is shown on there.
On the little
Already.
pond, yeah.
If you own that, I guess that's one question that it would be good to know, why that little section of land was assigned to the dam. This one makes sense because.
Yeah, I've got the deed, and I just couldn't, either it's not in the deed that I have, or I couldn't figure it out. It's usually in a project like this, the surveyors do the deep dive into figuring out what's what.
I know.
Cool.
Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Bruce.
You can come up here too if you want, so. Here you go, sir.
I thank both of you gentlemen for, making the presentation tonight. I just think that the discussion, in front of the board here is probably extremely premature, because the other side of this, and I've been following this for 15 years, New Hampshire Dam Bureau, being part of DES, has a file probably a foot thick, on this. The dam owner was issued a letter of deficiency, and this dam is presently a high hazard dam, as is the Pickpocket Dam at present. Now, you mentioned the Pickpocket Dam has been removed, but that has not been the case. I mean, it's in a process toward removal. So I would encourage the board, before we do anything more, I would certainly inform the Conservation Commission of your letter. I'm sure, I think they have it, but it would be wise to maybe go and talk to them. But I think the first meeting we ought to have here before the board would be with a representative of New Hampshire Dam Bureau. Because I'm just personally concerned that, as Exeter found out, not wanting to get into a Trojan horse situation here. Because the town of Exeter, about 20 years ago, was spoken to or presented a discussion similar to the one that you gentlemen are making tonight by the representative of the Milliken Industries in Exeter, who owned that dam at Pickpocket. So they came to the town of Exeter about 20 years ago at a public hearing and said that, hey, we have this dam, we're no longer using it for water power for the manufacturing process, and we would like to give that to the town of Exeter, just like we're hearing tonight. And the board back probably, again, at least 25 years ago said, well, how much? And the Milliken Industries people said, well, it's a gift to the town. And the town said, great, we'll take it. 15 years went by, and the New Hampshire Dam Bureau issued this letter of deficiency. It's, it's called a high hazard definition. And Exeter was faced then with being the responsible party to cooperate with the New Hampshire Dam Bureau, and they gave them two options. Option number one was to remove the dam. Option number two was to do the remedial action to fix the dam to make it safe. Now, the town of Exeter just voted a year ago to spend about $1.5 million of town of Exeter's money to remove the dam. The remediation cost was somewhere approaching $3 million. So there's a lot going on here that I think the board may be unaware of. And again, I just don't think the town Brentwood taxpayers wanted to accept anything, because you're accepting the responsibility at the same time. And in a meeting in Portsmouth about 10 years ago, sir, which you participated in, at that time you were looking to give that property or sell that property at the time to the landowners along the river.
Bruce, I hate to interrupt for a second, but we're talking two different things. They're talking about conveyance after the dam.
Well, after, but I'm just.
So we're not getting a dam that's gonna cost
but
us $1 million.
I guess what I'm asking for is, I think the board would be very well informed to learn from the New Hampshire Dam Bureau the projected cost of removal and remediation.
But that's not a cost that the town will.
No. Right.
So just so it's clear for the record, it's Bruce Stevens,
South Road.
Is speaking. If you want
You can speak here if you want. Right here. You can sit right here.
Yeah, so I'm not against it. I mean, everybody would love to see the dam removed, and that's great.
That's why I said, Bruce, from the outset, that this would be a condition, any conveyance of any type, whether it would be an easement or a fee simple, would be conditioned upon removal.
Well, that is because it's quite a removal process. It involves a lot of engineering. Exeter spent almost $400,000 already on initial.
On any part of it.
Exactly, absolutely.
And we are not asking Brentwood to take any responsibility for any cost. We are actively working with American Rivers, which is a nonprofit.
Correct.
Dam removal NGO that was started by Jimmy Carter, because even back in early 80s, people were beginning to realize these dams that are all over the country, particularly in New England, these dams built New Hampshire, New England towns. And I am at the end of the line of having a private ownership of this dam that's absolutely useless and
Very
not
expensive
going-
process.
not going to produce any economy for local economy. There's no value to anybody. And to have, confrontation about, well, just because you own it, so therefore you're gonna go bankrupt, or you're gonna go, be sent to jail, be fined $10,000 a day, or whatever that Superior Court that wants to charge us, which we don't have. The best case that I could, I actually was lucky that I found Jason to actually help me get this dam removed.
Oh, I think it's a
on
good
your
process,
behalf.
but you have to be honest, and you are aware that over the last 10 years, the
Yeah.
New Hampshire Dam Bureau has,
Bruce.
it's giving you a step-by-step process.
Address the chair, if you could.
So, yeah, so the New Hampshire Dam Bureau I think the
You can speak right in there.
residents of Brentwood would benefit from having a rep from the New Hampshire Dam Bureau come down and explain to us all just where we are presently, what some of the estimated costs are, just so we know the whole process. I think we're just, the cart's way before the horse here.
Yeah, so this is a very preliminary informational meeting, just so we could become educated on what the request is, what this is all about. And obviously, this is something that we would have to look at with great scrutiny. Yeah.
So just to give you a little bit more of the background, he's right. The Dam Bureau is involved. I don't think the cart is before the horse. We've been working on this for years. The Dam Bureau is very involved. The courts have been involved. The Attorney General's office and I file a report every 6 months with the Superior Court to let them know what's going on. The Dam Bureau's involved. Kevin Lucy, Bill Thomas, and others at the Dam Bureau are involved. Part of this, I'll call it a team. We're all kind of working together on this. There's no Trojan horse because we are not trying. We don't actually need the town to take any responsibility or to take the land. We are working with the state to remove the dam. The costs are we've gotten a grant of $675,000. I think we might have gotten one other much smaller grant, and I talked with Andy Fisk of American Rivers, and if we need to find more money, he's going to keep fundraising. We're not looking to have the town really spend anything on this, and I wouldn't come in here and ask you to take ownership of a derelict dam because no one wants one. And so it's after. So this is all part of and I'm not coming in here asking for any kind of commitment.
I think
We
I'd
just
be
want to start
impeached if we were
right.
to do that.
No, this is just sort of, we're in this multi-year process, and now that we got the money that we think is going to be enough to take down the dam, and part of the contingency of getting that money is to protect the land long-term. And so that's why we're here to start this conversation, because we thought that the town might be interested in the land. If you told me, we don't want to touch it even with no dam, that's okay too.
Right. So other public comment?
You heard from Bruce Stevens.
Lois DeYoung.
Lois DeYoung, Crawley Falls Road. Bruce Stevens has been on the planning board for this town for 30 or 40 years. I've lost track. If he says, don't do it, don't do it. Next thing, I remember the situation. I happen to know someone named Josh McCullough who lives, I believe, I could be incorrect about this, but I believe it's the same dam. You can go talk to him, because I used to remember all the to-do at the time. I was on budget committee, I was all around and everything. It was the flood, it wasn't some of these other things. Some of it was the flood, one neighbor was flooding, one was draining his land. It was a big mess. I don't know the holes of it anymore, it was many years ago now. But before you do anything, you look into this. This is not something this town wants any part of.
Anyone else?
Doug Finnan, Gove Road. You may have covered this, but if you did, I apologize. I did not hear it or understand it. I've heard the term responsibility, town taking on the responsibility. My concern would be liability on the small section that we're talking about. I'm not familiar with it, but in the event that, let's say the town does take this responsibility on, in the event there is an accident on that small sliver of land, minor or extreme, which could happen, is the town going to be held responsible for that? And if so, I mean, in the event that that is true, is there something that can be written in the deed that expels us from the liability?
I think in answer to the latter question, no, because the town, we're talking about the town taking the property that has no dam on it. And so it would be just like any other piece of property that the town owns. And if someone fell in the parking lot here, assuming the town owns this property, you know, that would be for the town to, the town would be responsible.
I think what we were talking about would be an executory interest, which means that it would trigger upon a future event, that being the removal of the dam. I'm presuming in any agreement that if, and this is very hypothetical and very preliminary, that we would insert some sort of indemnification that would make the dam owner or BMV, I'm getting the initials correct, BDV, sorry, BDV responsible or to indemnify us for anything that they did that were to cause harm. So, I think that would be important legal language to cover us. But again, this is very, very preliminary at this point.
Jim Hazard, 33 Mohawk.
Chet will be next, because I know he needs to sit. Yep.
Honestly, I mean, you brought up the commission, and I mean, I would trust Mr. Stevens and Mr. Wolfchucks on this, but I mean, just my opinion, Mr. Chairman, it is the lot we're talking about, parcel 217-084-000 is 0.23 acres on the side of let the state of New Hampshire take it. Just tell these guys, we appreciate your offer, but the town doesn't need 0.23 acres of land over there. Why even deal with any of this? If they want to donate it to the state, great. Unless the Conservation Commission really has a desire for this really small sliver, and then you put all of the things in there to make sure that nothing could ever come back to us, honestly, just tell them thank you, appreciate the offer, but we're not interested. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, I'd want to see what Conservation Commission thinks, and whether or not this fits into their, strategy of conserving property.
We do need a park to add to Parks and Recreation.
There you go.
Exactly.
Judd Miller, Dudley Road.
Yep.
I'm with the other speakers that I don't think we really want to get involved with anything that could go to the Army Corps of Engineer. I grew up on a sandbar off of Jersey. And when I was 16, they came in to fix an inlet. It's still not fixed, and I'm 76. I think from a very practical standpoint is what I think Jim just talked about. What do we want with this sliver of land? I mean, if they don't want it, well, why do we want it? And there's always liability that can come back to us. We could write the best contract in the world, and I've seen some of them, and we've still been sued. I had a contract that at the date of closing, all warranties and representations went away. We still got $800 million from them. So I'm with everybody else. Don't touch the thing, but just my opinion.
Thank you. Sure. Second round. But you got to say your name and. Okay.
Bruce Stevens, 84 South Road. And I will apologize to you gentlemen, maybe the phrase "the cart before the horse" was incorrect, but I don't want to use the word misleading, but again, in terms of the demands of the New Hampshire Dam Bureau. This is a very lengthy process. You guys don't go in there with a few sticks of dynamite and blow this thing up. There are many, many studies that have to be done. And in Exeter, to take out the Great Dam, which downtown Exeter was removed, and I've attended all those meetings. And you can, for the general population, you can go on the Town of Exeter website, and you can look at all the expenses that have been incurred by the Town of Exeter in this project over the last 5 or 6 years. The New Hampshire Dam Bureau has a very set list of specifications, things that need to be done before you even talk about physically removing it. There's the scour studies, what you're talking about with the sediment. You know, there's historical, there's a myriad of studies. And again, Exeter hasn't even got into the engineering part of the plan. You have to have an engineered plan to take the dam out. It's not, again, just blowing it up. And they've spent $378,000 to date just on preliminary engineering studies. And as you mentioned, a survey is required. So I think, again, it would be super informative. Maybe it'll be a meeting before the Conservation Mission that we'd have a rep from the New Hampshire Dam Bureau come out and go through step by step where we are now, the history of the thing, because the history is long. It's been 15 years. And our concern, the town of Brentwood's concern through the Conservation Commission 14 years ago, was that the parties that own the property would simply not pay the taxes and have the town take it. And there were a couple of attorneys from the New Hampshire Dam Bureau at that meeting in Portsmouth, which said, that's not going to happen. We're going to stay on this. We're going to follow through and make sure that the responsible parties are responsible. So again, we want to see the dam out. And if the town of Brentwood elects at town meeting to spend money on it, well, that's up to the town of Brentwood. But I think we all need to be informed, because this is a very, very serious situation with a lot of ramifications, and just go slowly. Thank you.
We are.
Yes. Dam Bureau.
Can I say something really quick?
It's slow.
Maybe, Mr. Inouye, maybe could you come back in a couple years when the dam's gone and ask again?
Yeah, we'll,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we'll get it done.
yeah.
Yep.
If the town's not interested, that's okay.
Yeah.
I think the town would be more interested, or from what I'm hearing over here at least, would be more interested in even considering it.
Sure.
once
Yeah,
there's
we're
no
not looking
concern about the, yep.
for a commitment.
No, I know.
of any kind.
Yeah, I think
just
this
wanna
is
be
more
clear.
educational, and I think you're hearing, the voice of a number of, people who are, concerned about the potential, exposure and whether or not this, has a fit for the town in terms of what we do for conservation. So you have a circumspect group of people out there, as they should be, and as we all are as a board.
Well, and part of this process is getting informed, so appreciate you guys being here to help us be informed.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thanks. And we would love to have someone from the Dam Bureau be involved in this.
Well, they are, but
Well, I mean,
may I
come to
just
talk.
finish
Sure,
up by
of course.
making my own observation, really?
Yes.
I am a zero-generation American, and I am married to a 14th-generation American from Rollinsford, New Hampshire. And Susan would have been here today to give me support for the blunder that my son made to purchase that very long history, 300 years. That dam built this town. And I believe that it's a collective responsibility. I'm not asking the town to spend a dime, because I am taking responsibility to hire the right people and go after the federal funding, who at the federal level, they know that we have to deal with these defunct dams that built this country. And I think it's so much better if we could just, not have an animosity between the dam owner and the government and the environmentalists and people in Fremont that was going to lose their frontage in the waterfront. None of it needed to be happening. I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I want to help. This is my bucket list. I'm 74 years old. I've been sick for the last 3 years off and on, and I am going to close this down, and I am going to take the dam down so that I could be the last step of what was the dam. Thank you.
This will be your legacy. Thank you.
A damn legacy.
That's right.
You can put a plaque on the chair, on the bench.
But thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll be back.
And feel better, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have some follow-up discussion with regard to trash and recycling. And I think the idea was, in the event,
Thank you.
in the event that the town voted, let's see, I want to make sure I get this correct. The town voted not to make the appropriation to continue manual pickup, then what would we envision, sort of as an outline, if you will, for automated pickup, so that at town meeting, people would know what that would entail, in essence? Does that sort of set the stage for everyone? Okay. So I think we had, some issues in terms of carts. Looking back at the minutes from back in July, it looked as though we had voted for carts that would be 95 gallons each for recycling and for trash. There were questions that were left open that I don't know that we had decided with regard to what the cost would be for additional carts and whether or not we would include commercial pickup as part of this. And then there were, I think, more specific regulations in terms of, that would be, how you would have to leave this at the curb, how you would have to keep it contained within a cart, and things of that nature, which may be a little more detailed than we need to get into for town meeting, but I'm open to people's thoughts, so we at least convey, an objective message on how to deal with this. So I'll open the floor, or open the to the board members.
Well, ironically, I'll start off with just a comment, if I can, Mr. Chairman. I was traveling through Beverly Farms, Massachusetts today, and I had to laugh because I was playing dodgems with all the automated carts that were scattered throughout the streets because of the snow, and a lot of these carts were literally scattered throughout the road. There was traffic stops so people would get out and pick up the carts to get them out of the way, the trash bins. And I just thought to myself, what a nightmare. But that being said, I believe that we voted the Casella Waste is going to give each resident a 95-gallon recycling bin, and we had the option to provide, or for them to provide, a 65-gallon or a 95-gallon bucket for their trash. We elected to go to the 95, and with the option that townspeople could opt for the 65 if they wanted to go smaller. Now, that being said, if they wanted to go, if they had a large family or they produced a lot of trash for whatever reason, they were entitled to purchase at a fee an additional cart, 95-gallon cart, for their trash at an annual fee. So we do need to determine what that annual fee would be, because that is up to us, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And then we also need to determine what we're going to do for commercial property as well, because I don't think that we finalized that.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
So, again, without getting into the intricacies, because there are Yeah, we were given an example of an ordinance in another town, and it gets into real intricacies over, how the trash should be contained and within a container and where it should be placed along the curb. I don't know that the residents necessarily need that level of detail for town meeting, but I think those three issues, the size of the cart, what a rental cart would cost, and whether or not this would include commercial or not, are probably as what I see as the three important categories. If we're missing something, feel free to chime in.
Well, I think that it's only fair if you have a commercial piece of property that you're entitled to. They are now. So I don't see that we should treat them any different than a resident. My feeling is if they go above and beyond the allotted trash pickup bins, then they would need to do something different. I mean, I know for myself, I have a dumpster, so I wouldn't need any of that. So I would forego that.
Yeah, and I think that's fair as well. Letty, go ahead.
Yeah, Julie, you had mentioned Casella offering. I don't know if this is different from when we had talked about it last summer. You had mentioned Casella offering a one-time switch. And I don't know if that's the similar thing to what you're talking about, Jim. What you're talking about, and I think what we had talked about last summer, was somehow people deciding ahead of time before their bins are dropped off. I guess my question would be, how would that switch happen? Like, would it require someone physically bringing a bin somewhere, or?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's my understanding that yes, they would have to bring in their bin and exchange it for the other size.
Then if that is the case, I would say we should default to the smaller size, and if people want a bigger one, they can trade for a bigger one. Just because I would prefer the smaller one, but I don't know how I'm getting the bigger one here to trade it.
I would say the best option would be that Casella will provide an email address, and that anybody that pick a day that they go out and pick up and distribute.
Is that something?
Or
that we
have,
do?
I can ask.
or have it prior, before drop off, that
If I'm remembering correctly, I believe Casella said that if they would offer one-time transfer, they would pick up and replace the.
I just want to make sure that we know for sure what that looks like. I think, yes, signing up
Yeah.
ahead of time would be way easier.
because I don't
People
see
that-
too many people throwing a 95-gallon container on top of their Civic.
No, I think if there's some way that people can sign up ahead of time for the 65 or 95, great. I just want to make sure that they have some sort of mechanism to do that, so that we're not just saying that as an option
Right.
without being able to back it up.
And Casella said that it's not up to the resident to switch out. They will come and switch out one time.
That
Yeah, but
sounds
we wa-
different from what Julie
but
said
we wanna make sure they
recently.
Yeah, yeah.
do it
No, I
at
understand.
their-
Right, right.
At their home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The only other thing, and this was something that I think you said last week, Andy, was just about how a big part of what we pay for is the tipping fee when it comes to trash. So I don't know if with that in mind, if we would want to consider defaulting to the smaller size. Again, with giving people the option to sign up for the bigger one ahead of time. If
Go ahead, you can do that.
Sorry, if we can just kind of keep the noise down, that would be great. Thank you.
that was
I'll just add that I did inquire about the logistics of how it works for the payment of the bins and how the additional bins and how the town gets the money that we would add on. Just for clarification, as I mentioned before, it's $130 per year is their charge for an annual subscription, they call it. And then the town can add whatever fee they feel is relevant. He said most towns go with a cost of 1 ton, which is $100. So it would be $230 in this instance for the cart rental. And he said that Casella figures the percentage of the cost that is the town's of that $230, and then quarterly would either give us a credit on our invoice or send a check, whichever the town prefers.
Yeah, and to clarify, just for people at home and in the audience, if we charge on top of the 130, it's not to make money, it's to cover our tipping fees that will increase with a larger size barrel.
With a second
an
barrel.
additional-
Second barrel, sorry.
More
Yes,
trash.
yes, more trash, right.
More trash, more cost.
Yep. It
And
gets
is that the-
confusing, for sure.
Yeah,
Is that
it certainly
second-
does.
Is that second barrel, Julie, the bigger of the two sizes?
I think you can get whichever you want.
I don't know why you'd get two small ones, but
Right.
okay.
I don't think so.
He doesn't say here, but
I think if you opt for another one, I believe it's a 95 gallon.
I can check on that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
confirm that.
Yeah, another question, right.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Need to
Been wrong
confirm
before.
that, and we also need to confirm whether or not, we can do some sort of email procedure in
Mhm.
advance, and whether or not they would do a one-time swap by coming,
Yep.
directly to the home.
Can you find out, Julie, also that, that 1 ton, and this might be part of the answer to the other thing, are they basically saying 1 ton of trash is what they expect for a single of the larger totes or the smaller totes? I'm curious in terms of the board figuring out if we want to go with the smaller size or the larger size by default. How much trash that will
'Cause if you
equate
go
to
to-
roughly.
Yeah, because it's 1.5 can size, right? If I get 65 and I add another 30, I'm basically doing 1.5 size.
As the trash, as the trash committee pointed out the other day at the BudCom meeting, it doesn't sound like we're gonna save a whole lot of money going automated, because there are a lot of additional tipping fees and whatnot, so.
They were presenting that the town would pick up the extra $230 a resident, which is not true.
No, correct, right.
That's, from the way I heard the presentation, that's what they were projecting, is that the savings we would get would be lost in tipping fees because we would be paying for an extra barrel for a resident, which is not something that the town is gonna do.
Because you're going to charge
Right,
extra
right.
for that.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I'm not sure I heard it exactly the same way. I think the idea was that there would be a significant enough number of residents who would be paying that additional fee.
Correct,
So that,
right.
you know.
In other words,
That would end up costing more to a lot of residents.
That's
than-
right.
yeah.
So what they were referring to is that right now, if we stay with manual, it's an extra $4,000 a month, which equates to, and if I'm not mistaken, $25 per resident per
Sounds
year.
about right, yep.
If we go to automated and a large percentage of people then opt for another barrel, now you're talking $230 or whatever we decide versus the $25 per resident. So that's where the additional cost comes in per resident. That's what I think that they were referring to.
So it's an additional cost to resident, not to the town.
That's correct.
Correct.
The person who's making the
But
extra
the,
trash.
the
needs to pay
the
for it.
residents are the town.
Well, no,
Well,
the town is the whole tax base. The resident
no, I understand.
incurring the extra trash is the person paying the extra fee.
Right. But, yeah.
There's a lot to digest. It's
Yeah.
not an easy thing for sure. And I understand that, it's very difficult. So we do want to make sure that we inform the voters prior to town meeting for sure. And that's what we're doing, trying to.
And he did ask that we finalize what we want on that flyer soon, because they want to get it sent out in the next 7 days so that people have time to review it before town meeting.
Could we make a decision next week after we get definitive answers about switches and sizes and everything, or do you think we need to decide something today? based on
He
the
said
don't.
7 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is one more meeting because we want some answers to those questions. I mean, we could probably all, I don't want to presume anything, but I suspect we probably all agree that commercial, should be part of this and picked up. And then the question becomes, what do,
Well, it's commercial now, because I don't think it is. Like,
say it again?
I don't think commercial is now. I don't think, not every, like, I know, obviously, the only commercial business I see all the time is the emergency vet. The only time they put out stuff is for recycle. They don't put out trash.
That's because they opt to have a dumpster.
But is that because they have
That's
to?
because I think they have to.
I don't think so.
So when this came up last summer, I think a former select board member said that there was an ordinance that the select board had come up with at some point, but we couldn't, I asked the TA for it and she couldn't find any record of it,
Former TA.
An ordinance that.
saying that commercial properties were not part of the trash pickup.
Well, Bruce should have that answer where he's been
That's literally what I said. He's the,
All right,
he's the
come
select
on
board
up.
member in question.
But you gotta, come on up.
Bruce Stevens, South Road. I don't know if it was an ordinance, but there was specifically when the town started to go to an automated trash, well, I shouldn't say automated, we went to town trash pickup.
Right.
Before that, everybody went to the Kingston dump.
Do you know what year that was approximately or decade?
Well, yes, the Kingston dump closed in 1986.
Okay.
So, I don't think things were as formal at that time, but the Board of Selectmen definitely had a discussion about it. And the vote was to not pay for commercial pickup. A lot of us, I was working for Highland Hardwoods at the time, we thought, hey, we're paying all this tax money, we're getting no really town services other than that. We thought we should be able to put it out. But I think, again, practically we're speaking to Jim mentioned earlier, most businesses have grown a bit. You need a dumpster, so you just buy your own dumpster. But that was always the policy. But people would just go ahead and put their trash out and say, hey, well, let's wait and see what happens. In smaller businesses, trash comes down the road and picks up.
And I thought that's what Mr. Belanger had indicated, that they were picking up from businesses.
Well, they do, just simply
Yeah.
because the truck drivers see it beside the road. And of course, there's a residences up and down 125. So the trash truck drivers would just stop if it was left out there. But I think in general too, I think a lot of the questions could be resolved if the trash company comes down and brings us a 65-gallon drum or container in a 95. Put them up here in the town hall in the hallway. Take them to town meeting. I mean, very few people today can really understand or visualize perhaps what is 65
I
versus
could go,
95.
I mean, there's a 95 at the other end of the hall.
Okay, so, growing up here in town, which I did, everybody burned their trash in a 55-gallon drum, so we know what a 55-gallon oil drum looks like. We had a lot of fun doing that as kids, burning the trash. You had to take the trash out. My mother would sometimes have some hairspray cans, to throw away. So once you got that thing
That's
blazing
when you went to school on a horse,
on a horse,
Bruce.
you get down on your knees, and while your barrel's burning, you throw that can, that hairspray can up in the fire. But in all seriousness, I think if we could just get a couple of barrels, that would answer the questions for most people.
And I don't know too many businesses that are gonna be able to survive on a 95-gallon can anyways.
I wonder if we just say that each official address gets one set of cans, right? Like, because that way, anyone that has an ADU, you're gonna wanna have 2 sets anyway, right?
Right. And that's,
But what does that mean, an official address? Does that include commercial or not?
Yes. They pay taxes, their taxes afford them the same rights as everyone else.
I think just anecdotally, I live on South Road, very near the town line for Kingston on South Road and very near the town line on Little River or on Shore Road. And I take a walk every couple of days and I walk around the block out to 111A and then down around past Memories Ice Cream, down to Little River Road, come back in and come up Shore Road. So it's about a 4-mile walk. And
I
so
saw you walking along 125 the other day.
I
and
do.
And I was a little worried for you.
That's a challenge
Yeah.
to see if, you're gonna, but bottom line, and I'm not being smart here, but I see probably in that distance, somewhere north of 80 residential homes in Kingston. And they've been fully automated for several years. And I actually sent a picture of their container, their size container, and I put the gallonage on, I think it was 95 gallons, and I sent it to Letty. And that seems to work great. I think people are going to love it. It really works very well. I don't see stuff left out, blowing out of them. I think the people that this is getting a little hyped up, a little emotional, and I would personally vote to go with the larger ones. And
You gotta
Good.
go,
Oh.
microphone. You'd think people would know by now.
Yeah.
About garbage. I want to thank this board for
Low-
your agenda.
Lois D. Young.
Oh, Lois DeYoung, Holly Falls Road. Okay. I want to thank this board for tonight. It's the first time, I have to admit, from circumstances I could not avoid, I had not seen your agenda. I love that the board is now allow us having president comments at the end, have it in the part of the activity, and your the first thing with the consent thing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yep. Yep. Good night.
Come on, Bill.
Yep. Come on up, Bill.
Don't
Be
trip.
careful.
Hurry up.
You're killing yourself today.
Keeps trying to trip me every time I come up
I saw it.
Bill Faria, South Road. A couple of things. Number one, this should be a real easy thing to do. You tell the residents, here's your choice, 25, 65, 95, doesn't matter. Here's your choice. Make a choice, let us know, we'll let Casella know. More importantly, this goes back to the SB2 conversation we had. You guys need to know what you're going to present to the town before the town meeting, or we're going to be there for 6 days. And I don't want to be there for 6 days talking about trash. There's a lot more important things to talk about at town meeting besides trash. Yeah, there are.
We're gonna talk about trash for it. It's always the thing. we need to
But
post
you guys need to know what you're going to present to the town before we get there. You got a couple of weeks to get your act together. Please get your act together so we don't spend 3 hours talking about trash.
Well, that's what we're doing, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
And I will say that it is a very important topic because it is a very large portion of our budget.
So on that note, just something, so are we, if this warrant article passes, are we then assuming that that means we are staying with Manual for the rest of the contract or just through the end of 2026?
I would say we have a 5-year contract, so I think that's something we can discuss at the town meeting. But if everyone wants to stay with manual, then yeah, we got to figure out what it is. Now, if they come back next year and say, hey, instead of $4,000 a month, now it's $6,000 a month, then we probably are going to bring it
It's
back
in
around.
contract.
Yeah, it's in
No,
the
it's-
contract.
no.
They can only,
No.
yeah.
They can only go up 4,000?
No.
No.
Well, there's like a 5% rider, but I think the idea, as I heard the trash committee, was that if we made the appropriation, or the governing body made the appropriation, that would give them time to come up with some options. So
It's for the 5 year, we're voting for the 5-year contract.
No, we're not.
no, we're just
We're
voting,
for the
we're
6
just,
months.
right, we're voting for the appropriation through the end of the year.
The board seated next year, when they do the 27 budget, would have to make the decision on how that was gonna go.
Right. Yeah, it's just for the 6 months.
I guess, can we ask a non-binding question at town meeting?
No, it's too late.
Warrant's already been written.
No, I know. I'm just, because I think the conversation about what we're preventing what we are presenting to the taxpayers in terms of actions is different if it's, we're gonna delay this by 6 months, and then we're still gonna change over January 1st, or we're gonna delay this indefinitely.
I guess my question would be, can a warrant article be modified at the town meeting?
Yes.
So they
As long as it
could do
doesn't
that.
change the intent.
So somebody could say, I want to change this to be for the rest of the contract we've already entered into. I guess they could do that.
Or add language specifying whatever they
Yeah,
want us to do.
to extend it out. for
The only
entire
problem with
contract.
that is the monetary money,
Right.
the floor, or whatever the warrant article's written for, wouldn't cover the rest of the 5 years.
Right. I think if the voters vote in that manner, I mean, it certainly sends a message And, you know, and then as well, you know, we're gonna have the trash committee, you know, then come up with some options, and that's why they were asking for that appropriation to be made, so. Go ahead, Liz.
Liz Faria, South Road. There seems to be some confusion about, we get 2 barrels from Casella, right?
Yes.
It's not one and one
One for
extra.
trash and one for recycling.
One for
Correct.
trash and one for recycling.
Correct.
We definitely need to be able to ask, you know, to pick which 9565 before they deliver.
We are confirming that that is going to be available. And
So
figuring out
it's
what
a
the mechanism
third
is.
barrel if you want to rent it because you have so
Correct.
much
Yes.
extra trash.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
I just want to make sure that that's it. Also, if you go, it's just shy of $50,000 per year for this year if you went for the whole year. So next year, for sure, it'll be over $50,000 additional for the trash.
Yes, there is
The
a,
Warren article is only for those 6 months.
Yes.
Correct.
There's
And
an
that's 24,950 or something,
yes,
24,900.
there's an escalator written into the
It's
contract.
5%, right?
A minimum of 5%. If the inflation index for trash, pick whatever, there is, it's in the contract, is higher than that, then it will be higher than that. It's a
Okay, but there
minimum of
still
5%.
seems like a lot of things that are not ironed out, and as my husband said, they need to be ironed out before, but you get to
Mhm.
95, 95, 95, 65, 65, 65, but let us sign up before they bring them out.
We will
Just makes
confirm that.
sense.
So I think, unless there are other people who want to.
Can I just, I need to clarify one thing, Liz.
Okay.
Okay,
One more time. Casella Waste gives you a 95-gallon barrel for recycling. You don't get a choice on that. You get a 95.
I don't know that that's accurate. That's one of the things that Julie.
Yes, it is. I know it
Because
is.
it's an every other week pickup.
Correct. And then you get a choice between a 65 or a 95-gallon barrel for trash.
Correct.
Thank you.
right. But that needs to be done before they bring it and switch it out and everything. You need to, okay,
Yeah, we're going to confirm that we're able to do that.
thank you.
Yep,
So minimally, you're gonna have at least one 95.
Correct.
correct. But they're coded.
But I think
That's
that
gonna
was
be
a
for
decision,
recycling.
I think that was a decision that this board made.
Nope.
They
Then,
recommended it because.
They recommended it, but they also recommended the 65 for trash, and we went with 95. So if we are giving the taxpayers the option to choose the smaller trash, I don't know why we wouldn't also give them the option to choose the smaller recycling.
you're making it more complicated. And Casella already said that they want a 95-gallon for recycling, period.
So I think that there are residents who are going to choose the smaller size because that is going to be easier for them to manage. And that will not be different if recycling is every other week. That's all.
Why don't we add that as a question for Mr. Belanger? You can.
Peter Foster, 79 Prescott Road. I'm a little concerned about what I heard Casella say regarding businesses. I remember a survey that they were going to perform in trying to identify businesses versus residences, because they were complaining that well, maybe not exactly complaining, but they were informing us that they were doing something that they were not required to do. Namely, that they were picking up trash at businesses when we didn't have an ordinance for that, and they were imploring you to write a trash ordinance. That's how I remember it. I could easily have that wrong.
Yeah, I think they did put
in
together a
that-
list of properties, so Peter, so we should have that list.
Properties,
Yeah.
but I don't think
Parcels.
that they completed, unless this board never informed anybody, that if that did take place, certainly Casella didn't, because they never came back. They were supposed to make another swipe at their presentation, but they never did. They did it in an email that was never posted.
Yeah,
And so we're left a little bit, I think I have a right to be a little bit confused about this, partly because I may have confused myself. But that's how I remember it, that they were going to do a survey on the businesses because They had taken it upon themselves and it was costing them money, namely picking up trash from businesses. That's how I remember it. If I'm mistaken, please let me know.
No,
And one of the other thing-
we never made an ordinance because, you know, the decision was made to.
It's okay. I'm not,
Yeah, no,
I'm
I'm
not
just.
ridiculing you for not
Yeah, no,
doing
no,
the
I'm just.
ordinance. I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
re- at the best, reflect on what I remembered
Yeah.
or I made up, which I'm capable of doing both.
Well, it goes
The other
back
thing
several
is that
months ago, so, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, I would like to see us post that there's been some wonderful opinions, and I really enjoy hearing each of you speak, because you have different angles on things. But I would like, instead of us postulating things, post the contract on our website. And those of us that like to shovel, it's a great opportunity for us to get lost in the weeds, and it keeps us preoccupied so we don't bother Julie.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
Does the trash committee have their own page on our website?
The trash committee is a subcommittee of the budget committee.
Yeah. So we can probably put the contract on the budget committee
I
page,
mean,
I guess.
we could just put it
On the
up
select board
under
one,
the
yeah.
select board.
Yeah, true. Either way.
Just as a document, we don't have to put it, we can
Yeah.
just upload it.
So I think we have some questions that need to be answered, and I think then we should make some final decisions next Tuesday. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
I want to remind the board too that I will be remote next Tuesday. I'll be away. I'll request to be remote.
We'll consider allowing it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Which then brings me up to Julie's going to be on vacation and I'm going to be on vacation right after the town meeting the following week. Is that on our
Agenda
thing?
for later to look at the
Okay.
meeting calendar.
Okay.
All right. Finishing off that with trash recycling follow-up, we'll have one more follow-up. And any old business?
Letty, you had asked for, I didn't make copies for everyone, for the cartographic contracts.
Mhm.
So I have copies here. I did get clarification from Adrian today that the one with the sticky note is part of the Avatar. It's a one-time fee to get in line with Avatar since we switched the software that we use.
And that's not part of the other contract that we have with them?
This is the other one. That's for the mapping, and then they have to do the one-time changes to the software because we moved over to Avatar to make it compatible with Avatar.
Yeah, I guess if I'm the only one that is questioning this, then I guess I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
It just feels like they're charging us for something that we already agreed to pay them for, but.
I guess in old business, we had the building rekeyed today. So I have new keys for the exterior door for all of you.
Do you want our old keys?
I just
you
got to
can
figure
toss
out which
them,
one's
You can do
which.
whatever you want when you see what works in the doors. So,
I got two. I don't know which one's which.
your codes are still the same, and then we need to know, I need to know who you want, and I'm gonna have a form for you guys all to sign, but obviously you need the keys now. To sign, we're gonna have key sign out forms, so I just need the board's feeling on who else can get keys to the exterior doors. Do you want committee chairs? I don't know.
I think historically it's been committee, I'm assuming you're not talking about employees?
No, because we know who, the employees, which employees.
Yeah, I think it has to be committee chairs.
Historically, that's what it's been, right? Anyone that would need to come in and do a meeting?
Right. That was my feeling. I just wanted to run it by everybody to make sure they're okay with that.
I have one.
Does that mean you're making a list of people who have keys?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea.
So I think committee chairs seem to make sense to me because they're the ones responsible at night.
So I know Julie has no spare time at all, but we probably should have a key control policy of the select board.
Okay. Do you have a thought in terms of what that policy would be?
I'm sure there's a million key
Sure.
control policies for general government that,
Yeah, about turning them in when you leave and,
yeah, who is assigned a key, and she can just throw it on the listserv and people will send her.
Millions of policies that you get to sift through. Like you have nothing else to do, so we're gonna have you do that.
Jillian will.
Julian, there you go. Perfect.
I'm less concerned about the policy and more concerned with just having a list of what keys are out there and who has them.
Well, that would control how the
Correct.
list is made, how it's kept,
Sure.
how it's followed up on when somebody leaves a committee.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's important to have that policy.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yep.
And I asked Paul if he wanted a master key, but he said he did not want one, and it would be up to the next chair if they want one when they.
Is there still, there's a box that has all the keys in there still, right?
Yeah, and historically, I know we had, previously when I was on the board, I know usually we set it up, I think when Phyllis was on the board, is you had to have a quorum to open that up without the town administrator. That's how we used to do it. So that way, somebody was always there, because there's keys to areas that we don't necessarily need to go into.
That would be part of the key control policy.
That sounds like a great thing to put in a policy, yep.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
needed a quorum to open that up
I
because
mean, we
there might be
definitely
something
didn't have,
for.
like, the,
Should be more
Yep,
than
more than one.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have one person going into that box.
Correct.
You need to have a quorum to open
Yep.
that up.
I don't know.
Do I need to have someone with?
No, so
No,
I think it
'cause
was
you're-
2 select board, or I'm thinking of the times that like, I think we've done it with 2, not 1. Quorum, I feel like could be tricky sometimes, but
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of having, and that's why I didn't want to have control,
A
over-
master?
Yeah, but I think the policy should be either a quorum and then, except in some emergency that, would then otherwise allow something less than a quorum. I'm sorry, Bill? Yeah, well, I mean, certainly a quorum, but except in an emergency, I would even think, the chair in that instance, or, or 2. I mean, again, we can talk about it as part of
Yeah.
a draft policy.
Cool.
Something to be done. Like Andy said,
Thank
throw
you,
it on the
Julie.
listserv and see how dangerous you can get. Or Jillian can get.
Okay.
My last item. Can we pay for the snow removal from the roofs here and at the library from the capital reserve fund for maintenance of town-owned buildings?
what is the,
Motion.
what is
Second.
the amount that we are approving to spend out of that fund for those 2 things, or do we not know yet?
Total 5,000.
5,000?
They did 2.
2 for here and
2 for
3
here,
for
one.
the library.
Correct.
Make a motion for 5,000 out of the building maintenance fund to pay.
And Andy made the motion. Who seconded?
Second.
I did.
Oh, friendly amendment to add the 5,000.
And I will add that that was a significant discount as well.
I know they had quoted originally 3,000 just for this roof.
Yeah.
And they did come back when I was smashing the freaking icicles off the roof, so.
Yeah, no additional charge, right?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm done.
Okay. Did you want to talk about the meeting calendar?
Sure.
then? Okay.
So you're not done.
So
Well,
that
this-
is,
So I know Bob wanted to meet, if we can, the evening or right after town meeting,
to see if we can
because
do a
he's
quick meeting.
leaving
I'm leaving that night.
that night.
The
To,
14th.
I paid
Mostly
ex-
just to vote on the chair, is that correct?
we have to nominate who's going to be the chair and the vice chair. And then I would say you're going to be gone the next week. So then I'll be gone the next week. So
Not to put the cart before the horse,
Yeah,
yet,
I
but
know.
you haven't been elected.
I know that. I know that, but Paul will probably be here and Dave will probably be here.
Yes.
So,
But I
would
haven't
s-
either, so I don't want to be presumptuous.
so I would think since
Yeah,
Julie,
Write-in did win last.
since Julie's going to be gone,
I'm going to be gone the 24th.
I thought you were gone the 17th too.
No, I'm leaving the 18th.
Okay. So I would say we have the meeting on the 24th would be the next meeting. So you skip the.
She won't be here.
That's
she
Jillian
won't be
can
here.
take it.
Jillian can take it though.
Can we, I mean, again, I hate to be presumptuous. I mean, is there a way that, we can decide this after the election and at town meeting?
If Julie's here the 17th, I don't see why you shouldn't have a meeting on the 17th.
Yeah, I'll be in Europe. So
For
So-
town meeting?
for
No,
the
after.
17th.
The 17th.
You're not going to call in?
From Europe? Yeah, no. Unless you guys want to get WhatsApp.
There's precedent.
I'll call in from WhatsApp from Milan.
Oh,
Right.
But we'll plan to have a meeting of
But we
whoever
could-
the new
yeah.
board members are
Yeah.
after town meeting.
I think
Wait,
we,
wait, what? After town meeting or on the 17th? The 14th or the 17th?
after town meeting, right after town meeting.
The 14th.
Right after town
Why?
meeting?
14th.
Have we ever done that before?
Well, if Bob's not going to be, if Bob gets elected and
Right.
he's not going to be here on the 17th.
But he hasn't been elected, and it's not like Paul and Dave's situation where he's running unopposed. Like, there could literally be another person.
Oh, sure.
So I'm not sure why unless I'm missing something. Maybe this is standard, and we just,
Just trying to schedule everything out. So
Yeah, and I don't know that it is standard. So again, I hate to presume anything, including.
I wouldn't presume anything either.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
if I don't get elected, then I go, okay, I don't have to call in. If I do, then we're going to have to figure that out. So
yeah,
Well-
that's what this is for. We'll see you very bigly on that screen.
if I dial in from
Sure.
Europe,
Sure.
I will be 6 hours ahead. So,
Only 6.
All right, well, I think we can figure it out.
okay.
All right.
And then I knew Julie was going to be out too. So,
Julie's the,
but you're leaving the 18th? Yeah, she's leaving the 18th.
As long as it's a short meeting on the 17th. Because of early flight.
We will try.
You have an early flight. I'm flying out
We will try.
Saturday.
Okay. Committee updates?
Daphne would like to apologize, and she got the date wrong for the last day to register. It is Friday, the 27th, not this Friday. So the last day to register the vote here at the town offices is Friday, February 27th.
Okay. Rec has tomorrow, their meeting, and they're doing their bylaws from 5:30, I think, to 6:30. And then they're having the regular meeting after that. So it's a working session. So if somebody wants to come talk about the bylaws, they're more than welcome to show up for that.
That's Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Recreation, right?
but it's still only the Recreation Commission.
Because that was.
Parks and Rec Department.
That was, there's a LLC or some, whatever, some funding that they set up in 19.
Whatever.
Planning board's having a work session. It's tomorrow morning, right? Yeah, with regard to looking at engineering firms to assist in applications. Yeah. We had conservation last Wednesday. Nothing of great significance to really report. So, yes.
One more RPC.
Oh.
I can do it now or I texted you. I can do it now.
Go ahead, Doug. Come on up. Sorry, Woody.
I'll be quick. I apologize. I know it's been a long night. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members. Just want to provide a quick RPC update. We had our meeting last week, and just want to go over a couple of quick things. So we approved our 2026 highway safety improvement targets, as well as the regional transit safety targets. Just for context, so these have to do with like our regional targets in terms of reducing fatalities and accidents on roadways and things of that nature. We as a region have obviously our aspirational long-term targets that we want, no fatalities and no traffic-related deaths. But the Highway Safety Improvement Plan has goals that were kind of put together more realistically based on, some mathematical algorithms on what's realistic over the next few years. And so we passed the Highway Safety Improvement Plan as well as the regional transit safety targets. Just for full context, I did vote against the the regional transit safety targets. I think I was the only no vote. Most of the document was totally fine. Most of the goals were fine. My objection to it was there was one section that had to do with assaults against transit workers, which has become an increasing issue in recent years. There were 21 assaults on transit workers this year, and the goal that was put forward was to reduce it to 20 next year. So just that we have one less person assaulted. And so for that reason, I wasn't really comfortable voting for that. But all those benchmarks passed. And so, again, the discussion wasn't so much about how we get there. There are a lot of issues that contribute to road fatalities. A lot of it has to do with speeding and people just not driving responsibly. But so these are the targets that we set out as a region.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Ward Byrne. Is this part of public comment, or did you have
It's
some?
public comment, public question, I guess.
Okay. go ahead.
In 2024, 2025. Who are you, sir?
Ward Byrne.
Ward Byrne.
East
Railroad East Brentwood. In 2024, 2025, I know I'm going back a little bit here, but in our town report, we were missing the fund balance and the revolving fund. It was 400,000 and 600,000. It was over $1 million. And I believe the town has hired and hired and hired. And I don't think, and I say this as our town report is a legal binding document to the people of Brentwood. And there hasn't been, and aside from the Karen issue and everything else, we still haven't got an answer for where the money went. And I know Julie's been working on it, and I know, I think you guys hired an accountant, correct, to work on this stuff? And we're coming into the 2026 season here at town meeting, and we still don't know where or what's going on with that money. And I think it's fair as a resident to know, like, what's happened. And I don't think anybody's ever gotten an answer. And I mean, if you don't have an answer, that's okay too. I want to know, like, what's going on. I know it's
Is that gonna, the 25?
and this has
could be
nothing
in
to
the
do with Julie. I know she works her tail off. It's what was before Julie.
Well, the auditors won't have their report to us until May, so I can't really speak to the 2024, and I'm still working on 2025.
Fair enough. So what will be in the town report for this coming up year? Will that be in there?
Will
The fund balance and revolving fund?
No.
It won't be. So we're going on 2 years.
not the one that you're going to get this year. the town
Won't have
report.
it.
No.
It won't. So, and just as a resident, that's 2 years in a row that we're not seeing the fund balance and the revolving fund for a lot of money. And I know you're spending a lot of money trying to figure it out, but like, I'm not finding fault with anybody. I'm not pointing any fingers. I just want to know, like, how did this happen? What are we doing to rectify this?
Which revolving fund are we talking about? I mean, there are.
Well, this is the revolving fund that you've hired accountants to figure out.
I don't think we've ever hired an accountant specifically for the revolving fund unless I'm mistaken.
Just the
General fund, yeah.
All right, so either way, there's lacking information for residents in our town report, which has never happened before. You always had that in there. And I guess I'm asking, why isn't it in there? And why isn't it gonna be in there this year?
Because the auditors haven't finished with 2024 yet.
Okay,
And
When they do, Julie, will we give out, will there be an amendment to or an insert that's available to people?
or we can post their report on the
Yeah.
website, the auditor's report.
Okay.
But then as far as 25, will there be, do you think
We
you'll,
can put that
an
on the
addendum? Yeah, okay.
website as well.
As soon as we get it, we'll
Distribute it.
distribute it.
can you feel my concern a little bit?
I very much feel
You
your
know, I
concern.
think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, and we're going into another budget season, or we're gonna appropriate money, and yet we haven't reconciled from 2024.
What we can give you, and I don't know if this would be helpful, we discussed a couple weeks ago what the balances in those accounts are, but those are not reconciled balances. Like, that's the amount that's physically sitting in the bank account. So if would be helpful just as like a stepping stone, but that doesn't.
So, all right, which is gonna lead me to the next question. Is it legal to go into a town meeting without basically your checkbook balanced? And that's essentially what it is we don't know, the right hand doesn't really know where the left hand is. And is it legal to do that going into another cycle? Are we allowed to do that as a municipality? I don't know. I think it's a fair question.
I think the way Julie explained the 25 budget, Ward, is that we know what was expended. We're just not sure it was expended from the right line item. Correct?
Yeah,
So-
every invoice that has a payment gets associated with a line item. And most of those, 80% of them come from department heads who specify what line they want it to come out of. The ones that were iffy were the ones that the town administrator normally would put a line item on. And during that period where we didn't have one, and even for part of the year when we did this year, those weren't necessarily put on there. So
It's where the
Jillian had to.
allocation was supposed to come from. That has been,
Chop suey.
So will the town report include the 25 budget of appropriated and expended? That the sheet that we normally get showing appropriations and expenditures? That'll be in there.
I mean, that's basically the one that was at the budget hearing.
Right.
Yes, right.
I don't know what else to add to it. I mean, it's concerning.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's something, Ward, that has been concerning, and we're doing the best, that we can to bring forward the information. I mean, we're dealing with, things that were delayed, which is why, we're, still waiting for the, 20.
I understand the mess you were handed.
Yeah.
I get that part of it.
Yeah.
I totally do. I just I want to see some resolution so we know what's what.
well, and I think
So do we.
even with the auditors, I mean, I was hopeful that we would have had it beforehand, but again, like you said, chop suey. Somebody had to organize the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to go through the auditing process to make sure that everything's getting put where it needs to be. And then, Julie's been taking a hard look, I think, at all the things that weren't allocated to the right different line items and trying to reallocate them properly so that way we can get a true understanding. And then I think going forward, at least 26, we're going to be in line. So hopefully when we get an audit next time, it's like, here's all the stuff, it's all in line, and we're accurate versus chop suey.
Well, hopefully by next time, the value of Julie, goes up so she gets a raise. She probably really deserves one
Okay,
already.
it's time to sit down now, Ward.
She's going to start talking about spot bonuses
And
next.
Julie's mentioned the last couple of meetings that she has enacted different financial policies and procedures to help prevent what we were in going forward.
Correct.
Thanks, Ward. Yep, thank you.
Actually, on that note, one of the things you had mentioned was the board just getting a
Budget.
budget expenditures every month. Do you think we could have one for next week for
Yeah, that-
2026 so far?
That will be the last, I was gonna do it the last meeting of each month, so that would be next week.
Is that next week? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to forego if anyone else had updates on the
Yeah.
board here.
I have nothing for highway, police. I'm working with Chief Murch and the state to try and come up with a crosswalk for Lindy's. And because it's a very dangerous part right there. People come flying down off of 125 and they're literally flying past Lindy's, and people are walking out there trying to get to their cars across the street and even to their cars parked on the same side of the street. And it's pretty dangerous. And there's been a couple close calls recently. So Lindy's reached out to me when I was there grabbing some chow. And, you know, I've been working with Chet to try and get that resolved. And that's all I have.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
I only have budget, I'm only on the budget committee and we haven't met, so.
Okay. Any public comment at this point?
Liz Faria, South Road. We have a treasurer, right?
You do.
And how come the treasurer no longer comes to these meetings?
He's, it's report.
We have a treasurer's report.
Okay.
Which is what the treasurer used to come and just read it. So Paul reads it now.
Okay.
Actually, on that note, you had talked about maybe trying to find a deputy. Any luck there? What about emergency management?
We have 2 candidates that we need to set up in.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Any other public comment? Okay. Hearing none.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Good night, everybody.